My dear friends, what does it mean to be human? Certainly it means to err. 2 weeks from Sunday, actually throughout this month, leading up to Rosh Hashanah, we ask forgiveness from others and from God for our failings. The great message of this Jewish season is that it's never too late to start over again, to begin again, to renew love again, to make the approaching new year a new chapter in our lives and for all whose lives we touch. We may fail, but we can and will rise again. To be human is certainly to err, but to be human is a huge positive in Judaism because it means that a person can rise to be a little lower than angels through ethical behavior, moral discernment, sacred relationships, and self-improvement. But there's something else that makes us uniquely human beyond our ability to improve and self-reflect on God. And since we are about to enter the Jewish time for serious introspection starting next Friday night through September, before we get serious, let's not forget to laugh. Because another distinguishing feature of human beings the rabbis teach, in addition to our ability to self-reflect on God, is our ability to laugh. It's no accident that in the recent history of comedy series, Jews figure prominently. While Jews comprise barely 2% of America's population, Jews account for over 20% of America's top humorists, the greatest of all time, like Jerry Seinfeld, Woody Allen, Mel Brooks, Buddy Hackett, Sarah Silverman, the list goes on. Yeshiva University, in case you didn't hear, decided to field a crew team. And unfortunately, they lost every race. They practiced for hours, but never managed to come in any better than dead last. So Yeshiva U finally decides to send Yankel to spy on the Harvard team. Yankel schleps off to Cambridge and hides in the bushes off the Charles River, where he carefully watches the Harvard team as they practice. Yankel returns to Yeshiva University and announces, "I've figured out their secret. They have 8 guys rowing and only 1 yelling." Takes a minute. Jewish humor is a field in itself. There's no genre of literature Jewish humor hasn't touched, including haiku poetry. Listen to a few of these Jewish haikus, which, if you remember from school, is a 3-line poem with 5 syllables, 7 syllables, then 5 again, or 3, 5, 7, 5, line by line. Jewish haiku number 1, listen closely. Is one Nobel Prize so much to ask from a child after all I've done? Or Passover left the door open for the prophet Elijah. Now our cat is gone. Or this one by a Jewish parent of a teenager. A lovely nose ring. Excuse me while I put my head in the oven. Or this last haiku, final one, about an older child. Beyond Valium, the peace of knowing one's child is an internist. Laughter and humor in Judaism is too rich and diverse to be described by a singular generalization, but it's usually one of 5 things. It's substantive. It's about something. It's especially fond of certain topics, specific topics such as food, family, anti-Semitism, wealth and its absence, health, and survival. Jewish humor is also fascinated by the intricacies of mind and by logic, and it tends to be anti-authoritarian. As Moshe Waldach writes, it kicks pomposity in the pants. It ridicules grandiosity and stresses the dignity and worth of common people. In general, Jewish humor characteristically deals with the conflict between people and the power structure, whether that be the individual Jew within his community facing the Gentile world, or the Jewish community in relation to the rest of humanity. Even before Jews arrived in America, the conflict between the individual Jew and the world he or she faced was the subject of Jewish humor. Lev Brishov, for example, a Jew from the Shtetl area, where Fiddler on the Roof took place, stood before 3 judges in Uzbek, his crime being Jewish. And your punishment, the chief judge said, is 10 years of hard labor in Siberia. Have you anything to say? Lev cleared his throat. Comrade Judge, the United States is a terrible, decadent country. It savagely exploits the proletariat. Hunger, unemployment, and bad things defile every corner of that reactionary land. Is that not right? Right, the 3 judges shouted as one. Then why not send me there? Asked Lev. Or this one, after arriving in America and encountering signs which said, no blacks, no Jews, no dogs, Mrs. Chauncey Ashley III telephoned the headquarters of the infantry base near her ancestral southern Great Oaks neighborhood, where no Jews were allowed to live. This is Mrs. Chauncey Ashley III, and with Thanksgiving coming up, I would like 10 of your finest enlisted men to share in our family feast. That's very kind of you, Mrs. Ashley. There's only one thing I'm sure you understand. My husband and I prefer not to have any Jewish people. Madame, I quite understand. When her front doorbell rang on Thanksgiving Day, Mrs. Ashley rushed to the front door herself. She flung it open. Welcome to Great Oaks. She stopped, aghast, pale as a napkin. For under the great portico stood 10 smiling black soldiers. Oh my God, gasped Mrs. Ashley. There has been a terrible mistake. The black sergeant grinned. Oh no, ma'am, Captain Finkelstein never makes a mistake. Yes, Jewish humor has been used as a retort to discrimination and anti-Semitism, but it's also been a binding force within the Jewish community. Some stories just don't work unless they're framed in a Jewish context. Mr. Goldman, for instance, says to Mr. Silverman, have you heard the joke about the 2 Jews who... Hold it, says Silverman. Why does it always have to be a joke about 2 Jews? Can't a story be just as funny if told about 2 Spaniards or 2 Eskimos? Or, okay, enough, said Goldman, so we'll make the joke about 2 Eskimos. Well, 2 Eskimos meet at a B'nai B'rith meeting, and the first Eskimo says, Isidore, when is your boy going to be bar mitzvah? So the second Eskimo says, Mo. Okay, stop, said Silverman, go back to the 2 Jews. Jewish humor mocks everyone, including God, yet at the same time it affirms religious traditions and practices, seeking a new understanding of the difference between the sacred and the mundane. It's been said, as we enter the High Holy Days, remember this, the cornerstone of Jewish survival has always been to find humor in life and in ourselves, no matter what. As we enter our most sacred Jewish season, let us remember that the ability to accept life with a sense of humor has helped us survive year after year, both individually and as a people. Some expressions of faith have a difficult time with humor, not Judaism. In Judaism, religion without humor is blasphemy, because using the mind and heart to laugh is one of the great gifts God has given us. With the Jewish New Year upon us, may each of you and your families stay healthy, live well, find meaning, serve others, and laugh more often. It's the religious thing to do, and God knows we need it. Amen.